25, and 30, 35, 40, 45, 55, 65, and 75 and sold.
The Call of the Auction Man. Starring Rich Ramp. In this episode, Rich talks about the care and preservation of antique furniture and gives part 2 of the most frequently asked questions at auctions. Later, Rich digs into the value of some unique treasures. And I'm Laura Baker, and we're here with the Auction Man. The methods of care for historical or valuable antique furniture have changed over the years. No longer considered just functional, antique furniture should not be cared for or repaired in the same manner as modern home furnishings. The use of polishes, adhesives, fasteners, and finishers can dramatically affect the current and future value of such pieces. I caught up with our auction man and asked him to give us a few tips on caring for your antique furniture.
Well, first of all, I would clean it before you start, because a lot of it has buildup wax on it. Clean it with like a lemon oil or something like that will get the wax off of it. You don't need all that buildup wax. And then keep cleaning, not every minute, but I mean keep cleaning it. Dust it using a lint-free cloth of some type, something like maybe a microfiber cloth or something that you would use on your computer, something that works very well on them. You don't have to worry about scratching it, using too rough a cloth by scratching it. And it depends on the finish. It definitely depends on the finish. If it's marble, it's pretty easy to clean. If it's leather top, you got to be a little bit careful because the wood and leather tops or mixtures sometimes are, you'd clean the leather one way and the marble one way and the wood one way. So you have to be a little careful. There's a lot of mixtures in there that you do. I think using an air can to use for your computers, the compressed air, is not a bad idea for some smaller items that you need to clean, where you have a little brush and you have you use the air to blow it out with, other than taking a high potent solvent and spraying it on it and hoping you'll get the data. You just create a muck down in the cracks anyway, and so you're better off blowing it out of there. You should also use a humidifier or a dehumidifier, depending on the weather you're in, the climate you're in. That keeps water content of your air stable, so that your furniture doesn't crack on you or dry out on you or just get to the point where it's not worth having. After you do clean your furniture, then you should use a paste wax on it. I don't just use a regular wax. Paste wax is the very best kind of wax there is to use. And there's different kinds of paste wax. Don't use a car wax on it. Car wax turn white. You really don't want to use that. So use a regular furniture, good high quality furniture paste wax on it, and it will protect your finish. That's your whole goal, is to protect the finish. And if you don't know for sure what you've got or how you should do it, contact someone that does. And it's always better to err on the cautious side than to just think, well, I'll just wash it with soap and water. And washing it with soap and water will usually work, but it might not work. Wax is going to help preserve it, for sure. Keep it out of the sunlight. Don't put anything in the sunlight. Sunlight is the number one enemy of everything. Skin, furniture.
So would you say that people should not use their furniture, or?
Oh, I think they should use it. I don't think you should have a piece of antique furniture you don't use. If you're not going to use it, don't have it. There's no reason to have a piece of antique furniture, to have it just sit there and have people look at it. That makes no sense to me. I have yet to figure out why people would want to have a house full of antique furniture that you can't use. So buy it, use it, enjoy it, live with it.
That's right. It's not always the most comfortable piece of furniture, though.
Well, yeah, if you're thinking of buying a piece that sits on, but if you're buying a chest or a table or something like that, you're not too worried about that.
Yeah, that's true.
Use it for that.
That makes sense.
I've hardly ever recommended buying an old chair to sit on. An antique chair to relax in.
Here are some tips for antique furniture care. Number 1, avoid placing antique furniture in front of a window or direct sunlight. Number 2, avoid placing antiques near air conditioning and heating vents. Number 3, don't place your antique furniture near fireplaces and stoves. Number 4, blot up spills immediately. Don't allow them to sit in. And number 5, dust regularly using a lint-free cloth. Last week, we asked our auction man a series of frequently asked questions from listeners like yourself. This week, we continue with part 2 of the frequently asked questions about auctions. The first question, what does preview mean?
Like I said before, I'm using Beloit Auction as a reference here. For us, preview means the day before the auction. You can come in and preview everything we're going to be selling that day. So it's from 9:30 to 6. On Tuesday, there's preview. And we're open all day just for you to walk through and leisurely preview the whole auction. Take your time, look at it, so you're not having to rush in and say, oh, I didn't get a chance to look at it. Oh, I didn't get a chance to see this. I didn't get a chance to see that. So we're open from 9:30 to 6 on Tuesdays, and from 9:30 to 4:30, which is auction time, on Wednesdays. That's a lot of previewing time. If you don't have time to preview it then you should probably rush. That's a lot of previewing time. That's way more time than most auction places give you to preview. A lot of places, if they're doing outside auctions, you can't preview it until the day of auction, till the morning of the auction. You can't go over there the day before and look at it while they're trying to get it ready. They don't want you there. We're releasing pictures on our website by late Monday afternoon not of everything that's being sold, but and the other thing is if we're doing a collectible sale, the end of the month sale, that sale you can preview all month long by going to our website and looking at different items that you may be interested in and seeing the bidding that's happening on them, the pre-bidding that's happening on them already. The other thing you can do at the preview is you could leave an absentee bid. If you can't be here and you come in Tuesday and you see a chair you like and you just can't be here for the auction or you don't want to come just for that one item, you can leave an absentee bid with our staff and they will execute that absentee bid so that you get it at the very cheapest price you could get it at, up to your maximum absentee bid.
So, Rich, our listeners want to know, how do you place a bid?
Well, that's a very simple thing to do. You get a number, you register for a number so we know who you are. And we like to keep track of who our bidders are so we know when they don't pay, okay? So they have to register for a number. You can't bid at any of our auctions without a bidder number. Whether it be a real estate auction or a personal property auction, you have to have a bidder number. Once you get the bidder number, there's very many ways to bid. The easiest way is to just hold the number up. But you can hold your arm up. You can just make contact with that ring person or the auctioneer somehow and let them know you're bidding on it. It's pretty simple.
And do you give how much you're bidding on it, or does it just go to the next level? How does that work?
It usually goes to the auctioneer is going 25 and now 30. He's asking for $30 right there. He's got 25 and he's asking for 30. Now, so you know that you should bid $30 for it. So you raise your card and you're in for $30. Then the auctioneer will go 35. I got 30 bids, now 35, and you're in at $30, and he's asking someone else for 35.
And how long does it take for the auctioneer to decide to close that bid?
When the bidding stops. When the bidding stops, the auctioneer closes the bid.
So, Rich, can attendees arrive at an auction late?
They can arrive at any time late they want to. They may miss the item they wanted. So if they think they're going to arrive late, when they came in for the preview on Tuesday, and they think they can't get here till 5, all they have to do is ask one of our staff members who are very helpful, what time do you think this item will be sold? Say it's going to be sold at 4:45, then they should leave an absentee bid. But if the staff member says, oh, I don't think that's going to get sold till 6, then they're safe. They know they don't have to get here till 5:30, 5:45.
Rich, one of our listeners wants to know, do you always have a title with the vehicles you sell?
Always. By state law, we have a title with the vehicle. And it's good business practice, too. A lot of things we do are by state law, but a lot of them are just good business practices. So it's like we sell by contract. Everything we do is by contract. That's by state law. But we would do that if it wasn't by state law, because it's a good business practice.
How do I register for a real estate auction, and is there anything that I need to bring with me?
Well, it's really no different than a personal property auction. Because when you register for the real estate auction, we get your name and your phone number. You get a bidder card. Then if you're the successful bidder, you sign all the paperwork at a real estate. So that's the only difference. You have to bring earnest money of some type. Usually it can be a personal check. And it depends on which auction it is. And in the terms and conditions of that auction, it will tell you what that earnest money should be. Now, we just sold one Saturday in Janesville. I think we had 15 or 16 numbers out at that auction. Earnest money for that auction was $3,000. So everybody there that got a bidder number knew they had to have $3,000 with them that day to bid on the auction. We never collected prior to bidding. We collected from one person at the end of the auction. Okay. Otherwise, we would have 16 $3,000 checks or cash on us that we would have to give back, and they'd all want it right away.
Yeah.
And it would be we did that once, okay? And we had about 50 $4,000 deposits with us, and they were all cash. And that was a madhouse. Yeah, we've learned over the year. We learn as we go. Every day we learn something new about how we should do something. It may be a very little thing, but we learn it.
We've reached the part of the podcast where listeners like yourself can submit photos and basic information about items that you want to know what it's worth. Submit your questions and photos to rich@beloitauction.com, and we may feature it in an upcoming podcast.
Oh, that's really a cool robot. It's a 2XL robot by Mega. I haven't seen one of these in a long time. This is an 8-track operated talking robot. And it's got the 1, 2, 3, 4 tracks on it. And as you play the tracks, it will give you questions to answer. Like, are you a good auctioneer today? 1, 2, 3, or 1 yes, 2 false, and 2 no, 3 maybe, whatever, 4 could be something. And then you just hit the button and it says, and then if you get the right answer, it says, it's got this weird voice. It'll say, you are correct today. 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 That's my imitation of the Mega robot. Not a very good imitation, but it's my imitation. But it seems to work just fine. And it's probably it's probably worth somewhere around $150.
Red Wing Pottery of Red Wing, Minnesota was a firm started in 1878. The company first made utilitarian pottery, including stoneware jugs and canning jars. In the 1920s, art pottery was introduced, and Red Wing also made popular lamps that had a vase or figurine as the base. Many dinner sets and vases were made before the company closed in 1967.
The next item is a piece of Red Wing Bob White. And Bob White is just a pattern of china that Red Wing. And it's kind of a popular pattern. This is a teapot. So it says it's a serving piece. It's kind of a hard piece to find. It doesn't have a chip lip or anything like that. This is in really nice condition.
But how much would it sell for?
I would say this is probably worth somewhere around $50 to $75.
In 1911, the first Schoenhut doll was produced by Albert Schoenhut, an immigrant from Germany that settled here in America in the city of Philadelphia. Albert came from a long line of wooden toy makers that dated back to the early 1700s. When he first came to America, he made his living at making small wooden toys such as circus animals and small musical toys, and he sold these toys merely by word of mouth. Albert, being schooled by his ancestors in the art of making wooden toys and dolls, opened his business in 1911.
This last one is a Schoenhut doll. And Schoenhut made marvelous things. The best thing they ever made was the Schoenhut circus, which has all the wooden animals. Everything is wooden. Schoenhut made wooden. They're from Germany, by the way. And the Schoenhut circus is fantastic. It's got the big top. It's got elephants. It's got all this. But these Schoenhut dolls are pretty rare. They're hard to come by. Every joint in there, it's all wood. The whole body is wooden. The whole head is wooden. Every joint is there. It's all jointed. This doll by itself is probably 20 inches tall. And I would guess it looks like it's in very good condition. It's worth around $200, I would say. But if you've got a Schoenhut doll, they'll be marked, they'll have a paper marker label on the back of the wood, on the back of the body. But Schoenhut's so easy to tell because they're so distinct. Their animals are distinct. The circus is worth $2,000 or $2,500, something like that, if you have the whole complete circus.
If you have an item and want to know what it's worth, please send your picture along with basic information to rich@beloitauction.com. So what are Rich's top picks at auction this week?
First thing we have is an Oliver typewriter. These typewriters are getting to be really collectible. All these older typewriters really getting to be collectible. So I would say this typewriter. The next one is a modern curved glass china cabinet. Nice oak piece of furniture. If you've got collectibles, if you've got Hummels, or if you've got precious moments, or if you've got snow babies, this is a perfect cabinet to put them in. They won't collect dust. This you don't have to dust them. You can just show them off. And the next thing we have is a huge collection of snow babies that came from the same place as this cabinet. So maybe you could buy the cabinet and all the snow babies, and you could work this right into having your own little private collection of snow babies. And there's a lot of snow babies, and these snow babies new were $50 to $100 a pop. I think that group might bring $100 to $150 for the whole bunch of them. So it'd be a good deal for someone. If you bought the cabinet and the snow babies for $300, $350, that's about the cost of 5 snow babies.
If you'd like to see more items that Rich has for auction today, stop in at his website at beloitauction.com or check him out on Facebook. Or if you'd like the auction man to shed light on a question you have about auctions or something you have in your collection, drop him a line at rich@beloitauction.com. The Call of the Auction Man is a Beloit Auction production. Beloit Auction is the proud winner of the 2014 WAA Best of Show Marketing Award.